If you're planning to take the LSAT in 2025, you need to hear this. Most students unknowingly make the same mistakes that keep their scores stuck. I've been there myself. Back when I first started studying for the LSAT, my scores were stuck in the low 150s for what felt like forever. Eventually, I got my 175, but it took me over a year of trial and error. Looking back, I realized I could have done it in less than half the time if I had just avoided these common mistakes. Today, I'll break down for you the top 10 LSAT prep mistakes you need to avoid, plus one bonus tip at the end that can save you months of frustration. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and as I said, I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, the biggest mistake I see students making is overloading on practice tests. In fact, one of the biggest myths in LSAT prep is that taking test after test will automatically lead to improvement, but it won't. In fact, it's a recipe for burnout and wasted material. And this is a bigger issue now than ever before because the LSAT underwent a big change in 2024, the biggest change in decades. The logic game section was removed entirely and replaced with a second scored logical reasoning section. Along with this change, that means there are now fewer practice tests available, just 58 at the time of this video. There used to be nearly 100, now there are just 58, a little more than half that. So with fewer tests to practice from, every single one matters a whole lot more. So instead of mindlessly burning through your practice tests, focus on building your foundation first. Learn the strategies, learn the question types, and develop a methodical approach for each section and each question type. Then, when you're ready to take practice tests, use them strategically to refine your accuracy, your pacing, and your endurance. And this is what we help students do at LSAT Unplugged. We create for each one of our students a personalized day-by-day study plan, laying out exactly what to do from now through your test date, when to drill questions to work on accuracy, when to take timed sections to work on your pacing, and when to take full-length practice tests as test day approaches to work on your endurance, helping you make the most of your limited practice material. And we pair it with private one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, the second biggest mistake I see students making is relying too much on explanations. Of course, I know it's tempting to lean on explanations every time you miss a question because, of course, they tell you what the supposedly right reasoning is, but the problem is explanations don't teach you how to think for yourself. Most explanations are written by experts. They don't reflect your thought process or why you fell for a trap answer. So instead of relying solely on explanations, take the time to analyze your mistakes for yourself. Ask yourself, why did I pick the wrong answer? Why did I eliminate the right answer, and what patterns can I spot in my mistakes? This pattern of self-reflection is what actually builds long-term improvement. At LSAT Unplugged, we guide you through this process using the Socratic review method in our courses, in our small group classes, in our one-on-one coaching programs. Because the thing is that the experts are not going to be there with you on test day. You've got to develop the understanding for yourself. So make sure whatever you do going forward that you implement this sort of in-depth review process reflecting your own understanding of the material. Now, the third big mistake is using unofficial LSAT questions. A lot of third-party prep books use fake LSAT questions, which are often poorly written and full of mistakes. And these questions can, of course, actually hurt your progress, aside from just frustrating you to no end, because they don't reflect the style or the reasoning of the actual LSAT. Instead, you want to stick with official LSAT questions in LSAC's Law Hub platform. And no, they are not paying me to promote it, although I wish they were. That's where you're going to get those 58 official LSAT practice tests in the new format from the same people who create the LSAT. So this is going to be the most reliable source of practice material. And because the LSAT is a test of precision, you don't want to waste your time on materials that don't mirror the real thing. And through our personalized day-by-day study plans, we're going to walk you through how to make the best use of those limited practice questions. And the fourth big mistake here is ignoring timed practice. I know it can be really tempting to drill questions by type. do question by question, one at a time, bite-sized, and get that instant feedback about whether you got the question right or wrong by checking the answer key. But the thing is that the LSAT is a timed exam, and the timing is intentionally difficult and intentionally pretty severely constrained. You only have 35 minutes per section, which gives you less than 2 minutes per question on average. And so the test is not just testing your ability to get the questions right. It's about getting the questions right under test day conditions. You've got to work on your pacing and make those tough decisions under pressure. And so a lot of students will say, if I had all the time in the world, I'd get a perfect 180. But the thing is, of course, you don't have unlimited time on test day, and that is a brutal reality. So transition to timed practice sooner rather than later. As soon as you feel reasonably comfortable with the basics, you don't have to start with a full exam, of course, just individual timed sections at first after doing the drilling, then work your way up to full-length practice tests to build your endurance and pacing that you'll need for test day. And of course, that is what a dedicated, personalized study plan can help you do, like the ones we create for our students at LSAT Unplugged. Now, the fifth big mistake here is stressing over a single test date. Of course, I know you're pinning your hopes on being done with the LSAT on your scheduled LSAT test date, but the thing is that law schools only care about the highest score you have on record. Retaking the LSAT is totally fine, and most students actually retake the LSAT because the thing is, there's no downside to retaking it. Through luck alone, you could do a few points better, and if not, no big deal. It used to be back in the day that the LSAT was only offered 4 times a year, but now they've doubled that number to 8 times per year, and this past year it was offered 4 consecutive months, August, September, October. And because the LSAT's offered 8 times a year, it's often offered in consecutive months. So if you're preparing for January, but you're not sure if you'll be ready, you could also sign up for February. And the nice thing is that if you do sign up for February in addition, it could just give you the peace of mind knowing that not everything is riding on January. You don't want to pin all your hopes on one test date or let that one test date define your prep. So plan for the possibility of a retake, maybe even save a couple of recent practice tests in your back pocket just in case you might need them. And the nice thing is, by planning to retake, or planning at least for that possibility, it removes some of the stress of pinning all your hopes on that one test date just for that peace of mind, knowing that you have that backup in mind. Now, the sixth big mistake here is burning through your practice tests more quickly. Again, there used to be about 100 exams. Now there are only 58 numbered exams. And so it's more important than ever to use your practice tests carefully and sparingly, and making sure that you take the time to review each one thoroughly. Don't rush through test after test just to get them all done. Slow down, focus on quality over quantity here, and take full advantage of the questions that you're getting wrong, because every question that you get wrong is an opportunity to learn something new. And that in-depth review process, that in-depth analysis, using a system like that Socratic review method framework that we use with our students at LSAT Unplugged, that's what's going to lead to the real progress and the real gains in your understanding. And this leads me into the seventh big mistake here, which is skipping your post-test review, your post-test analysis. A practice test that you take is only as valuable as the review that follows it. If you're not spending as much time reviewing your mistakes as you did to take the test, you're leaving valuable insights on the table. So again, ask yourself, what kind of question was it that I got wrong? What trap did I fall for? And how can I spot and avoid similar traps in the future? Until you've answered questions like these, you haven't fully learned from your mistakes. It's not enough to look at the answer key and say, oh, I get it now. How could I have been so dumb? You've got to articulate your thought process to a coach or a tutor or at least a study buddy, or if not that, at least lay it out in a notebook, a mistake journal, a wrong answer journal, some sort of error log to look for patterns in what you're getting wrong and why, so you can drill those weak areas and avoid making the same mistakes again. Now, the eighth big mistake is getting lost in those massive 500-page LSAT prep phone books, because the LSAT just is not that complicated. You don't need to work through one of those textbooks or multiple of those textbooks to succeed. In fact, I found these books tend to overcomplicate things and overcategorize the LSAT question types, wasting valuable time. Once you've got a basic understanding of the different question types and what they're asking you for, focus on actionable strategies that will really work under test day conditions with real practice questions. Start getting into those official LSAT practice tests sooner rather than later, because the best learning comes by doing. and simplifying your approach wherever you can to what will work under those real LSAT timed conditions. Ninth mistake here, and I've alluded to this earlier, is prioritizing quantity over quality, because it's not about how many practice tests you take. Rather, it's about how much you learn from each one that you take. It's better to do 10 or 20 tests and review them in depth than to do 30 or 40 without the thorough review. Fewer tests with deeper analysis, and don't take exams on consecutive days. That is a recipe for burnout. At most, I recommend 1 or 2 timed tests per week for the majority of students. Maybe if you're studying for the LSAT full-time and have no other obligations, could you do 3 timed exams? But again, you want to make sure that you're allowing time to review your mistakes, revisit any weak areas or challenging concepts, and then work on improving at specific question types. A more balanced approach with a structured study plan will prevent burnout and maximize the improvement that you can get. And to that point, the 10th mistake is studying without a schedule. Don't leave your LSAT prep to chance or whatever you happen to feel like doing that day. And you certainly don't want to wait till you feel like it to actually study for the LSAT. You want to prioritize here consistency. The LSAT doesn't care what mood you're in. You've got to put in the work regardless and build that study habit with a consistent study schedule that blocks off dedicated time for prep. Because if it's not on your calendar, it's probably not going to happen. Treat it like an appointment that you cannot miss. Even if life is getting busy, if you have a set schedule, it makes sure that you keep your LSAT prep a priority. Now, I'll share one bonus tip, one bonus mistake in just a moment. But before I do, I wanted to let you know that at LSAT Unplugged, we offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. As I said, we create personalized day-by-day study plans for all of our students, covering you from now all the way through your LSAT test date. If you're interested in finding out more, if you'd like my support on your journey to scoring a 170 plus, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, one final big mistake I see a lot of students making, especially those aiming for top scores, is that they are afraid of redoing questions. They worry that they've already burned through the material and have nothing left to study. But the thing is, unless you're getting 180s on these practice tests, if you are getting questions wrong, there's still more to learn from this material. In fact, reviewing old material can help you solidify your understanding even more and build your confidence. It can help you also uncover new insights. And of course, if you see yourself making the same mistake multiple times, if you keep choosing the same wrong answer, that's a clear sign of a deeper issue you need to address because you have not yet learned the lesson. And so if you'd like my help making sure that you're not going to make the same mistakes again, if you want to extract the key insights from your review process using a system like the Socratic review method, my team and I would be glad to help you out. You could check out the links below to book a call. We'd be glad to help. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.